Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Blitzers. Welcome to the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I'm your host, Chad Stryker. Welcome in, welcome back. Thanks for taking some time to listen today. I am not an insider. I am not in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a guy who likes to talk Buckeye football. So, welcome. Thanks for taking some time this morning. I appreciate it. So, the news broke yesterday that CJ Stroud declared for the NFL draft. And I know that there was a lot of hubbub online and on Twitter and kind of around CJ possibly returning. And I didn't have high hopes for that. I thought, maybe the two collectives, the foundation and the cohesion, might have been able to get 8 to 10 million, maybe 15 million on the table for him, but that's not 30 or 40. And if you guys think back, I think Justin Fields waited till the last day to declare for the NFL draft too. So there's that. And I had a sneaky suspicion. No one said this, and I haven't seen this, ballied about or bandied about or whatever you want to say, but I think I would have seen, or we would have seen, at least one of Devin Brown or Kyle McCord enter the transfer portal if CJ told Ryan Day that he was coming back. With the early transfer portal window still being a couple days away for it to close, I think we probably would have seen that. So, CJ declares the offseason is officially in full swing. CJ, I thank him. He was obviously probably the most accurate quarterback I've watched in college football ever in my time watching it. Incredible, absolutely incredible, almost a 70% completion percentage. So I thank him. I think that in talking to my friends and family and Buckeye, colleagues, I guess if you want to call them that, or Buckeye fans, I have a feeling that CJ's legacy will always be debated. It's just the way that it's going to be. Amongst us OSU folks for a long time. We love to debate sports, and that's what we do. And his performance in the Peach Bowl was incredible. His performance at the Rose Bowl last year was unbelievable. And I think if there was anything that the Peach Bowl showed me, it is where has that CJ Stroud been, especially in the last two games against that team up north. Like, where was that? Why did he do that then? Like, obviously, maybe it was his, like, this is my last hurrah. I'm gonna give it everything I've got. But why were we not giving it everything we've got to beat Michigan? Um, that's my question. Like, where was this person that did these things, that made these plays with his feet and escaped the pocket? And I know that he did that some, like he escaped the pocket some, but it just like that was a different version of CJ Stroud that I've ever seen. Um, you know, I've seen a lot of people kind of bashing CJ, and I think a lot of it is just, everybody wants to win it all. Like, that's just, I mean, we have a lot of talent. We're a little bit spoiled as a fan base. Um, that's just where it is. So, one of the most interesting things is that people wanted CJ to come back, even after all the bashing. And, one of the things just in general, I know about us as humans is we have a fear of the unknown. And so there's a lot of unknown with Kyle McCord and CJ Stroud, or excuse me, Kyle McCord and Devin Brown with CJ Stroud leaving. And so bringing CJ back, and maybe people were like, oh, well, if we can have that CJ from the Peach Bowl every year or every game, heck yeah, bring him back. We're going to go win the Natty, So uh, just a interesting take. I thought that there's this faction of people that were bashing him and ready for him to leave, and then all of a sudden wishing he would stay. So interesting, little tidbit. regardless of anything else, phenomenal accuracy, like 69.3%, I think, on his career, 85 touchdowns. He had 16 Ohio State records, 3 Big Ten records, had two, like I said, two of the greatest bowl performances I've seen from a quarterback in a long, long time. And maybe since the Clemson game, Justin Fields' Clemson game in 2020. I do think, and I have a small, I guess I wouldn't call it a fear, but a thought that he'll mainly be remembered for losing 2 games in a row to that team up north, losing for the first time in the horseshoe since 2000, and that that stings. That's a legacy mark. It really is, and kind of failing to take what I think is probably one of the most talented rosters we've had the last 2 years. We've been really blessed with the talent that we have across the finish line and bring home a natty. So I think he quelled some of that narrative in the Peach Bowl. I think that's probably why, you see some of the stuff you've seen about him coming back. Yeah, so that's where we were. That's where we are. I don't hang both of those losses against Michigan squarely around C.J. Stroud's neck. I mean, he was 65 of 97. I looked this up. 65 of 97 in those 2 games. 743 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And he didn't get an opportunity in 2020 because, Michigan backed out of the game. So I think that I still honestly believe if Michigan came to Columbus in 2020, they were going to get ran out of the stadium. Jim Harbaugh probably leaves, and that Michigan team that we've seen the last 2 years is not the same Michigan team. And so you can say all you want about Harbaugh and his quirky, weird nature, but I honestly think he did Michigan, the University of Michigan, and the Michigan football team a favor by backing out of that game. So I basically hang those 2 losses on the defense, and a little bit on Ryan Day for having, especially in 2021, some really unusual and kind of just weird play calls. I don't know what happened there, but it just odd. But last thing I want to say about C.J. Stroud. Extremely impressive young man. He'll carry that first round pick legacy of OSU quarterbacks on, since Haskins and then Fields. And, I think he's going to be extremely successful at the next level. He can make all the throws. He's got the size. I wish him well. I thank him for his time in Columbus. And I do think that he was probably, we've been really spoiled with how accurate he was and how low key and chill he was about a lot of things. So my focus now, and all focus now, shifts to off-season conditioning. Practice begins on March 8th. It's about 7 weeks away. A looming quarterback battle with Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. I touched a little bit on those 2 prior. If you're looking at this from how I would look at it is it's who's under control longer. You would have more control, I think, over Devin Brown. I think you would get 2 more years out of him. But what happens remains to be seen. I do think that as a fan, and people I've talked to that are fans, I think that we long for the days of the zone read and a quarterback that can move around and break your back with those 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 15-yard scrambles. But I would also say that, if you think about JT Barrett, he wasn't built to win a natty. They were built to win the Big Ten with JT Barrett, but they weren't built to win a natty. Look at that Clemson game, 30-0 or whatever it was. Under Justin Fields and Kyle McCord and even Dwayne Haskins, they are built to compete for national championships. That's the difference. So be careful what you wish for. But I do think Devin Brown will make a run of it. I'm not sure how that looks, but I do think he would have to be head and shoulders, like far and above, better than Kyle McCord, and I don't think he's had enough reps for that to happen. But we'll see. Vegas obviously thinks Kyle McCord is going to be the starter because he's already an odds-on favorite in the betting for next year's Heisman. So look, I'm just going to say this. This is it about the quarterbacks. Marv, Emeka, Xavier, Julian, and that wide receiving room are all back. Mayan, Trey, Pryor, and Hayden are back. Stover, Royer, and now we get Jelani Thurman. I know the quarterback makes things go, but with all that talent returning in the skill positions and stuff, my thoughts are just don't be Joe Bowserman. Like just you know, you don't have to be an all-world quarterback. You just have to keep it moving, keep the offense moving. So my primary focus is, if I'm looking at it at 1,000-foot view, are the offensive line and the defense. Mainly because what are we going to do at left tackle? Zen Mahalski, can he hold up? I know he's been putting in the work. He's a good kid, good young man, says all the right things, does all the right things. I think there is depth, and I think that we'll find out what Coach Fry is made of with 3 starters leaving on the offensive line. I've touched on this, kind of on a couple other podcasts. The O-line, it's going to be okay. We're Ohio State. It's going to be okay. But they do have some pretty good talent still in the fold. Don't fret. Don't freak out. One thing I forgot to mention is before Harry Miller, before Luke Whippler, Matt Jones came in as one of the top rated centers in college football. And so I think we've heard a few other people mention, maybe you've seen some of the other different podcasts mention that he may slide over to center, and that may end up giving us that experience at the center position. Whatever they do with him, great. Having him back is an important piece and an incredible return. And if he did slide to center, it wouldn't hurt his draft stock any to show how flexible he is. So if that happens, I'm going to pretend that happens and just kind of give you a rundown of how I think this looks. Left tackle, I still think is an unknown. You can pencil Zen Mahalski in there, maybe, but we'll see what happens with that. Left guard, obviously, is going to be Donovan Jackson. Center, Matt Jones. Right guard, I would think, would be Enoch Vamahi. Right tackle, Josh Fryer. And in the jumbo, I wouldn't be surprised to see incoming freshmen, wearing an eligible number like Josh Fryer did last year. I wouldn't be surprised to see Luke Montgomery in that spot. He's very athletic and could help in that jumbo package, or Tasha Loboba could slot in there as well. So, who's very athletic as well. Defensively, I 100% agree with what Coach Day said after that game against that team up north, and then after the de facto natty, the Peach Bowl. We have to eliminate the big plays. This isn't the Big 12. We're not going to be putting 60 up. I mean, we do, but you can't do that every game. Occasionally, someone in football, especially in college football, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Most of the time, unless you're like Grandpa Stetson Bennett, who's playing in his 20th season or whatever, they will miss an assignment. They'll make a mistake, and a big play will be the result. However, I can't condone and don't condone just accepting the fact that we're going to give up, as schematically, as a defensive scheme, give up 5-ish big plays per game. I can't condone that. It's not fair to ask your offense to put up 35 points every week. If you're allowing a touchdown on all 5 of those big plays or more, yeah, I did the math. 7 times 5 is 35. I double checked, and I just can't get behind that. And so that needs fixed. I don't accept that, and I'm not willing to. And I don't think Coach Day is either. My main reason for mentioning this, the promotion of Brian Hartline to offensive coordinator does that allow for Coach Day to spend a little time game planning with Coach Knowles. You know, I hope that Day can become more of the CEO of the team and have an imprint that way. I was trying to think back to when he was hired. I'm pretty sure he said, I have a defensive scheme and an offensive scheme, and my coordinators will run my offense and my defense the way that, you know, I want it to be played. I want to see, personally, I want to see a cover three with an occasional press and let your D linemen and linebackers eat up front and keep the big plays to a minimum and go win football games. That's what they did, you know, back when we had Malik Hooker and Jeff Okuda and those guys that having monster years. You know, they just kind of kept everything in front of them and made that offense beat them by driving 15, 17 plays down the field to try and score. I didn't like last year as much. I think that I think Jim Knowles had a lot to do, and I think that year two will be better. I think that every year he was at Oklahoma State, they got better, and I hope that's the case this year. But I still just can't condone just agreeing that we're going to give up 5 big plays a day or a game, excuse me. And with the linebackers that they're returning and adding in C.J. Hicks, I think that they're going to have a lot of talent that on the field, and they better get that right. That's all I'm going to say. Or, you know, I do think Buckeye Nation will run Jim Knowles out of town. Plain and simple. Well, hopefully that gives you something to think about. We kind of forge ahead to the end of the early transfer portal window in a couple days. National Signing Day and the first day of spring practice is rapidly coming. It's about 7 weeks away. Thanks for joining me on the Buckeye Blitz. Like and subscribe for updates. You can also find older podcasts on our website, thebuckeyeblitz.godaddy.com. Until next time, see ya and go Bucks.